Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for the third and final game of today's promotion relegation bracket. Of course, I'm still Harry Dr. Evans. This is still Dan Orcs Harrison, and we are 1-on-1 with DegreeSports versus Barrage Retirement Home.
Yes, we are, and we had a pretty the first convincing game we've had on stream from DegreeSports. Yeah. Also the first win that we've had on stream recently. But
what a coinky dink.
Yeah, what a quinky dink. And it was really solid performance from them. They had clear win conditions. They didn't just draft scaling. They played to them, and Lee Brothers popped off on their Jin Zhao. So yeah, a lot of compliments towards them for that. But it did honestly look like Barrage Retirement Home just missed a beat. It felt like after that 1-0 they thought that they had just won the series already, and they fell apart. I think got to give some criticism. Scood looked lost, and considering he's been one of the strong points of the roster, it was really rough to see. Jackamak on the Tristana, considering you're a champion who has that rocket jump, you got hit by quite a way too many hooks, so concerns, but this is a chance to bounce back. And remember that these teams are in the lower bracket, so a loss here means you're out of the promotion tournament for good. You have no chance of getting into the UKLC for spring 2020. So everything on the line here in this game 3. It's one more game to decide it all, and we are getting to Champ Select.
All right, not only does this decide the fate of the teams in the UKLC, it also decides the fate of the predictions. I'm pretty sure that the guest is tied for first right now, and I'm pretty sure me and Jake voted differently.
Okay.
I voted DegreeSports, so come on, boys, pull it home. But are we expecting to see...
The major thing for me is that
the same
both these teams have missed out on trick-or-treating.
Oh, you hate to
play
it.
And to do that and lose would just hurt so much. Think of all the candy that you could have gotten.
I ran a tournament a few years ago, 2 years ago, something, and we had our finals was like on Halloween. The tournament, like all the players then started rioting because like matches were played on Halloween. It's like, we told you about this a year ago. You had a year to like reschedule, and like, no, we want to go trick or treating, man. We just dissolved the league on the spot. Like, we couldn't take it anymore. It's like, you know what? No one gets any more Legend League. And then they went off and they went trick-or-treating. They had a nice time, I'm sure. But, I mean, to be fair, if they wrap this one up quickly, you could still make some.
It's getting a bit rough at this point. I feel like most people are not going to appreciate trick-or-treaters at like 11 p.m.
Especially when it's DegreeSports and there's just like a group of graduates just rock up. It's like, trick-or-treat. There's like tears in their eyes. Trick-or-treat.
Anyway, moving on.
Oh, look, what a diverse pool of bands.
Yeah, we're having similar bands, just in a different order so far.
I wonder if they'll ban Zaya.
It was Diana. That was banned by blue side, and then Zaya on red side. If we're going for the same bands but different order, actually going for the orange, super high priority and keeping that away, it means Vrao has his Diana available if he wants to play it, so maybe lacking a little bit of respect towards that pick. It is one of his pockets, and Zaya is going to be banned away, so Kaiser has been the norm for DegreeSports in this situation, the first pick. Blue Spirits has looked confident on it, and last game he did look pretty solid, so wouldn't be surprised to see that. Question is, would Barrage Retirement Home change their response to that, which is the Lee Sin and the Tristana, or are they going to stick with that for the whole series?
Well, yeah, because the Diana is finally available, I think there's sort of an element of pressure that they have to pick it. But again, yeah, if you're not going for the Lee Sin Tristana, then what if suddenly DegreeSports start taking away Lee Sin or something like that? You know that Lee's Trist is a really strong first rotation, so I have to see where, like you said, the priority lies. But what's interesting for me is the Ornn ban, not only right now, right here, but also in the last game, they banned it after picking Yasuo. But speaking of Yasuo, that one's been locked in by Retirement Home.
Yeah, picking that one up for themselves. Likely to go towards Vrao, but could also flex towards the bot lane. Question's going to be what they're going to round it out with. Scood has played this Lee Sin quite a bit. It is pretty strong level 3, but the main synergy comes in level 6 when you have that ultimate, and they are going to lock that in. So a strong 2v2 mid-jungle, and it means it's going to be a similar story. If Scood can facilitate Vrao to have a 1v1, there's a lot of matchups he will do well against Handsome in. We just have to see it happen. So DegreeSports, now it's down to what they're going to pick. So Nautilus would be the standard here. Third pick is a little more varied, so we will see if they want to lock in the bot lane here and now. It will be, and I think, honestly, Longstaff had a solid game on this, so I think it's a good pickup for them.
All right, well, you think that the Yasuo could go bot, so just to skip ahead a little bit, do you think that Yasuo Sejuani is still a playable lane? Does it warrant a Sejuani ban from DegreeSports?
No.
Because now that the Gragas is banned, who would you think they'd play it with?
I think without the Gragas in the bot lane, you play Alistar. It's not great level 1, but it's actually okay. But other than that, I wouldn't. Kiana I like, so It is actually decent in the matchup up against the Yasuo because you can actually... the wind wall is a massive factor, but you can outplay him pretty heavily. It's so hard to hit a tornado on Kiana because you have so many dashes. And I feel like it is one of these mid laners, or potentially a jungler is the big flexibility thing, who is so strong level 3 they can go toe-to-toe here. But we're seeing something even more interesting to talk about. We're seeing the Heimer coming in bot lane. So with AD in the mid lane, they feel confident to take an AP bot lane pick. This could be problematic because it gives infinite shoving power. And the question is going to be, well, I mean, it's not the question. You've already seen the Kai'Sa and the Nautilus come out. Not a great response from the Heimer, who's just going to constantly provide pressure.
Yeah. We'll have to see what they want to end up pairing that Heimerdinger with as well. But now we get into stage of bans. Every time I see Watley Singed get banned, I hurt a little bit. I
like that this is DegreeSports, the most off-meta team we have. And this is probably the most
meta comp you can imagine right now.
Yeah, the meta first 3 picks that, like, this is, if we saw this at Worlds, I wouldn't be too surprised, these first 3 picks. It's very typical. It offers a flex for the Kiana between mid, jungle, potentially even top if they wanted to go wild, but really staple in the meta picks. Whereas, but with Barrage Retirement Home, it's not off meta, but it's a little bit more out there. These are picks that you wouldn't necessarily see so much together. You normally see the Gragas and the Yasuo, but they still have a lot of working synergy. You can put that power down mid, and then bot lane, as long as you stop DegreeSports from moving Kiana down, they should be in a good position to just consistently push the lane. And Bardione going to take his Rakan, offers a lot of engage and lockup to set up the Yasuo, and critically, super hard to engage on.
Volley Bear, all right? That's my segue. We've got Tam Kench banned, we've got Singed banned. You are versus Yasuo, you are versus Lee Sin, you are versus Rakan. The anti-engage that Volley Bear pick for Watley would offer, bearing in mind it's one of his favorite champions in the top lane. Yes, he kind of bombed it yesterday with the pick, but he's feeling confident today.
But my issue with the Volley Bear is that, like, how often are you going to be grouped with your team to be able to respond to those engagements?
How often is Watley ever going to be grouped with his team, to be fair?
But then what is
then why pick the Volley Bear?
That's the point I'm making. And he has gone for it in the end. There's going to be a blind Volley Bear, but there is no Ornn for Governor to pick as a response. But he could take something like the Nasus we saw work as a counter yesterday. In the jungle, it appears we do have the Jarvan locked in, so it will be a mid-lane Kiana. There is a pretty strong duo between each other with good spikes at level 3, but we did see Lee Brothers have an underwhelming game on this Jarvan, so a little bit of concern there.
I'm just so looking forward to this Kiana-Yasuo matchup. I mean, like you said, the dodging, the wind walls, they're all so important. The heaviest sort of skill matchup part of it, I can think the heaviest bit of skill expression is, can the Kiana wind wall the Q that comes out, can the Yasuo wind wall the Q that comes out from the Kiana during her Audacity? Because of the backwards hitbox of the wind wall, the way it sort of comes out from behind the Yasuo, even though Kianas are so used to being guaranteed the Q when it's comboed with their E, the Yasuo is still able to block it, and of course, block the ultimate in a similar fashion. So I'm really excited to see how they play that out.
Yeah, mid-jungle, going to be the volatile one in this game. Bot lane going to be a bit slow, but definitely favors Barrage Retirement Home in the early levels because that priority they will have. Top lane, Watley once again will have the advantage there, but Cho'Gath can scale into a monster. A lot more varied picks in this one. It's interesting to see them bring the Kiana out. I'm happy to see that. Vrao with the Yasuo, which he took away from Handsome, but still some things I'm not completely convinced by, like the Volley Bear, like Lee Brothers on this Jarvan.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see how it digresses in game. I do like that Jakamaka. Game 1, Tristana looked fine. Game 2, Tristana really did not conform. They put on something that is a completely different playstyle.
Yeah.
You're no longer pressured to jump in and be aggressive. You're now playing the sort of disengage game on this Heimer, or if they go for a heavy engage with the Khan, you can throw that empowered shock grenade and then follow up with an AoE stun. So I really like the composition coming out from Barrage Retirement Home. I think I like some of the picks from DegreeSports, but the top jungle haven't got me convinced right now. Hopefully the momentum from last game means Lee Brothers should be firing all cylinders and come in strong for this one.
We'll have to see if Retirement Home can use this new comp effectively, because remember, the first game was very much on Jakamaka on the Tristana, the hypercarry ADC, and then Vrao on the LeBlanc, their sort of surprise assassin mid laner. Vrao cannot now hide over walls and then one-bang people like he's been doing for the last sort of hour and a half over those 2 games. So I have to see, can he adapt onto the Yasuo? What I'm going to be really interested to see is Watley going to go Aftershock for the team fight on the Volley Bear, or is he just going to say, you know what, I want to split, and Aftershock is not going to be useful versus a Cho'Gath, and just go for Conqueror for the all-in power? It would tell us a lot about how he's looking to play the game.
I mean, if you really want to go ham, you go press the attack.
You just go Halo Blade, just bam, 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 chomp.
Press the attack, press the attack. That is the one. Flip them, auto, increase damage on the
chomp as well, yeah.
That is the all-in build, but honestly, I feel like going something a bit tankier would favor more. Grasp, better for trading in the long term. Aftershock, strong in those team fights, because it's easy to proc on Volibear with that raw. And we do load in the Rift for the last game of the day. We see Barrage Retirement Home going up against DegreeSports, and this will be the end of the road for one of these teams. The end of the promotion tournament. Last chance to get into the UKLC 2020 spring. And right now, DegreeSports going for another pretty aggressive level 1.
Well, they're all stacking up in the bushes, trying to find out the Heimerdinger when he goes to set up the turrets in the lane. But that is a Conqueror on the Watley top lane, so he is looking for it. But I think that Giacomaca has kind of found this one out a little bit, because he's setting up the turrets in the jungle.
Yeah, it's good for defensive line.
Is this like a play where you set up the turrets on the Scuttle Crab and then just do it on spawn? Surely not, right? I just can't think of any other reason.
Scuttle spawn quite late.
Yeah, I know. That's the issue. Like, you're not going to have them in lane. But
but Scuttle spawns quite late, as in you can't. I mean, unless you're thinking he like goes,
because he can't push out. Well, he has one turret left before those two go.
I mean, you lose a lot of pushing power.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't have the ability to go up on it. But maybe they're just there as an anti-invade tool. I'm not sure. It's just something I haven't seen before personally.
I feel like it was probably just cover for the invade, but either way, yeah, he's throwing the turrets down the bot lane. You're overthinking it.
I was ready for the big brain strat.
Triple turret bot lane, and they're just going to start shoving in as much as possible. Blue Spirit's doing his best to try and match this, but actually does take out the turrets, but still, the issue with that is you take out the turrets, the minions are still alive, and as is expected, Barrage Retirement Home have the shove in the bot lane. Definitely going to be some interesting lanes, but not likely to be this one. Mid lane is the one to watch for me. You're so up against this Kiana. You can already see Brow hit that level 2 first, trying to put some pressure down. Level 3 is the big point for the Kiana, but before that, we're seeing Evil's come top.
Yeah, Watley has both his CC abilities available. Governor is not very mobile. He will flash away from the Flag and Dragon, actually managing to land the knock-up as well. A nice play from Governor, but I feel like Lee Brothers didn't need to use the flag like that at all.
No, the execution was off. He tried to flash to follow, didn't connect the knockup. And the big thing is, as you said, he could have just kept auto-attacking.
Yeah, you have a red
At some point, Governor would have to flash. You can then EQ, or if he's too close to his tower, you got to flash for free. Here he traded, and again, this is showing a little bit of a lack of comfort on this Jarvan pick for Lee Brothers, but I do like the concept behind the gank. Volibear so good for setting these up.
Yeah, and because of that, Lee Brothers will lose out on some of his jungle here. We see Scoot moving on in onto the chickens. Might even try and find the Krugs as well if he's feeling particularly greedy. But he must know that Lee Brothers wants to come back eventually. Meanwhile, chilling on in the mid lane, Vrau has the push, which does mean crab control on the bot side will, of course, go over to Scoot. But Lee Brothers not going to take the top trade. Instead, he's going to try and maybe fight this 2v2. Nice wind will come on out, and actually Vrau trying to flash out away here, gets the hit onto Lee Brothers, and so the kill is found for Scoot, and that's a double. Vrau securing it yet again on the Yasuo.
Yeah, just great plays. Vrau opted not to flash the initial knockup, survives a long enough time to be able to turn it around. The sustained damage coming in clutch on top of the execute from Scoot. Bit overzealous from Lee Brothers going for that engage, and the lack of flash, he paid for it heavily there.
Unfortunate to go down there, and that is absolutely huge for Vrau. He's already got his Berserker Greaves. There's such a massive spike for Yasuo. It's just huge, the amount of attack speed and mobility you get off those. It's such an important buy, and he's got it 4 minutes into the game.
He's in a great spot, and Handsome not even yet hitting that serrated Dirk, which obviously would be huge in this situation when no armor has been built by Vrau. Watley poked down quite a bit here. Things not looking great so far for Barrage Retirement Home. Already just under 2,000 gold behind, and the pressure, the control is definitely in the favor of Barrage Retirement Home. I'm curious what happened actually top lane, because Watley's super far behind in this matchup.
Yeah, they both have teleports, so no shenanigans there.
I guess the wave coming in means Watley's been able to catch up in terms of CS, but still, we chunked out this heavily.
Well, Vrau is moving up. He's trying to do his best impersonation of Caps from Woz, but meanwhile, there's actually action down in the bottom lane. The hook has connected onto Jack and Mac, and they're trying to find some damage. Lee Brothers flashless, but trying to burn some instead as he moves on down. But meanwhile, it's all capping off in the top lane. Watley is able to get out of the dive for now, and now the passive is propped. He might need one more auto to go down, but instead flashes away from Scood, and no kills are found anywhere on the map.
Jack and Mac did have to burn his flash there to avoid the knockup from Lee Brothers, and Watley burning his in the top lane. A lot of aggression from both sides, but no kills found right then.
Well, at the very least, Retirement Home managed to get a plate or two off the back of their gank. We cannot say the same for DegreeSports as they look for a little bit of a trade down here in the bot lane, but the Ignite has actually come out from Bartiono.
Bit ambitious,
yeah,
I'll be honest, but especially with Jack and Mac with no mana to follow up. But either way, lose some long stuff will back away and go for a reset.
That can be one of the problems when you play something like the Heimerdinger bot. It's very different to any marksman you might play with, and it's very different to mages as well. And so you have a certain way of playing lane. You're like, Barciono's like, okay, this is how I play Rakan, and it might just not be compatible. But meanwhile, Lee Brothers is coming back for the return top lane, but Governor does have ult available. Watley has the Chomp, he has the stacks, he has the Conqueror, and he's going to have the kill as well. Get the return action there and be able to push the wave in as well. And that is a teleport just come through for Governor, so he will miss a lot.
Yeah, but Vrau's coming in the top side. I'm not sure you can kill this volley bear, but maybe you're going to go for it.
Yeah. I mean, Watley is now 6. He has the ult. I think Vrau was maybe trying to find something with the wave at the bare minimum. Maybe set up a freeze, but he's going to try and come on in now. But the ult has been used for wave clear. And Watley might just look for the fight here. The Halo Blades has now been procced as well. And Vrau's looking for the fight. He gets the knock-up, and I think the ult is not available. Sorry, I mean the passive for Watley. Instead, he flings him, he roars him, and he manages to get on out of this one alive. Cannot say the same for the Dragon, which was picked up by Scood.
Yeah, Scood doing a good cross-mark objective, but Vrau ends up burning Ignite for very little there. This is some chess as well, but now they're looking for an invader in this red. They might be contested and Handsome is ult.
Lee Brothers is the one to secure the red, and the hook connects onto Scood. He kicks Lee Brothers out, and Lee Brothers is not able to find the kill. So Handsome is going to be the one to look for it instead. It's a huge display of talent, and it takes down Scood. Bartiono is close as well. Meanwhile, Governor has come into this lane and is trying to find some kills. He's found Lee Brothers, and now he will pay for it with his life as Blue Spirit secures another kill.
Yeah, Bartiono's so low there. Honestly, I feel like Handsome held on to his ult for quite a long time. He could already just use it on the red buff wall. In the end, Bartiono escapes, but 2 kills going over to the side of DegreeSports. And critically, Governor,
this is huge for him.
He was so far ahead in terms of gold compared to Watley. He had such a CS advantage, and then he dies from the gank, and then he roams towards the bot side, and now Watley has been able to catch up and close that gap.
He had the lead. He teleports back to lane and immediately dies. So the wave gets pushed to his tower. He misses all of those creeps, runs bot, and then I believe Watley might not have been able to set up a freeze, so he's going to try and push in some deny some creeps as well. But from, like you said, a huge lead for Governor in lane to now a massive deficit, especially in terms of XP. But he might be about to make it all back as Watley overstaying a little bit. Nice movement to get out of the eruption. He's actually, as per usual, looking for the 1v2, but the passive is nowhere near enough regen to get through the execute of Scood and the chomp of Governor. And so he is a little greedy and does fall down.
Overzealous, I think, is the big thing. And it's unfortunately typical sometimes of Watley is that he wants to push his advantages in lane, does get challenged on it there, does get taken down, and Scood going to use the pressure to try and reward himself with a blue buff steal. And some little bit behind in XP, quite a bit behind in farm. Now going for the full AD Jarvan here, so more confident.
I like that, to be honest. Like, if you weren't happy with your performance on the Cinderhulk Jarvan, he's also got an Electrocute, which we didn't mention before, so he's just looking for more damage. Like, yep, this is how I like to play. I like to play Xin Zhao. I like to do these early ganks. And in these kinds of situations, confidence is always key, as Longstaff mobying his way on into the mid lane, but not going to find any action onto Vrau.
Hard to challenge the Yasuo when he has his flash and wind wall available. Not exactly coming from the right angle there because he's already backed up. By the way, both teams looking for advantages, not able to find them. Barrage Retirement Home, 2,000 gold up, have that Mountain Dragon in the pocket. There's a second one coming up in 2 minutes, and that is an extremely fast Baron when you think about it from Barrage Retirement Home. They have the Heimer with the turrets for sustained damage, they have the Yasuo with great sustained, and then they have the ult of the Cho'Gath for that insane secure potential. So if Barrage, Retirement Home keep this momentum going,
well, they
now.
might not be able to, as now the 4-man comes on in. Here's the Kiana. She has the ult, but does not need it. Jakamaka's already dead. Bartiono quick to follow, and the ultimate tower tries to find a Longstaff, but it's not enough. And the plates will be the target for DegreeSports. They might get the tower, and then they can look for that mountain.
Really good play coming out from the side of DegreeSports. They have good setup in the river. You can see those two pinks securing control so they can move down freely. And now they're going to hammer away at this tower with the mountain advantage and 3 members. They might even just get it.
Well, they're going to try and give it a bit of a beating. I think, yeah, they will actually be able to find it. No one is in the area to defend. But you said last game a big problem you had was them not setting up. Hopefully they can now that they've found this advantage. Meanwhile, Watley has found Governor in the top lane, but once again, Scoot is there, and he takes so much damage and does fall down. So now we might have a bit of a race for the first blood tower as Jakamaka is looking to defend, but there's no way he can walk up. Because if he does, he's going to get EQ flashed. He uses his flash, the Cataclysm, and even Blue Spirits are there to help. And that's what happens when you walk up as the Heimerdinger in that situation.
Yeah, just really no idea what he was doing in that situation. Good engage from Lee Brothers, looking much better on the Java now.
Vrau thought it looked fun, but he has the wind wall at the very least, but he's just dashing on into a Nautilus. He gets the double knockup, the double ultimate as well. He finds himself 1, he finds himself 2. Now he might look for the 3rd onto Blue Spirits, who has to flash away, and maybe that's what Jakamaka was trying, because that looked good.
That looked very good from Vrau, and putting a lot of work in on this Yasuo, showing it was worth the denial pick for him. And it not only stops them from getting the first tower, but he gets some kills for himself. And now,
so he saves first tower. Meanwhile, his team get top tower, Herald, mid tower, and a second charge.
Yeah, so they are doing pretty solid right now.
They just get
that play. And DegreeSports now looking for the engage.
Yeah, they look for the fight, but Handsome is not able to find a lot. Watley now flashing on in, just trying to isolate out Jakamaka. They do take down their Herald as well, so the tower is saved, but a Mountain Dragon is spawning and a lot of key cooldowns blown. Handsome dead means that a Retirement Home might just look to grab it.
I mean, the biggest threat right now is that Kiana ultimate in an enclosed pit, where they'll be looking for the dragon. We'll get a little replay off that. And honestly, you can tell they are so afraid of this Yasuo right now. Blue Spirits has to stop himself from being knocked up. But that leaves both his teammates to get ulted. He instantly assesses the situation, says he has to back away. But we're seeing more of a fight here. Blue Spirits in trouble.
Yeah, he's just immediately caught out by Scoot. Longstaff able to trade 1 back, though. And then, you know, as Governor comes down, he makes it into a 2-for-1. Watley's here. I don't think it's quite going to turn to a 2-for-2, but it might, as he gets the knockback under the tower, and they get the kill. Big shutdown going over to Libros. Now teleport coming through from Jakamaka. He does not have ultimate. Neither does the Governor. It's now a 3v2. Handsome has the supreme display of talent, but nobody's quite near a wall yet. But Watley's looking to make that the situation. They find 1 kill onto Jakamaka, and now Bartiono is coming in, as everyone likes to come in 1 at a time. And now we have to see who can get the mountain off the back of this fight.
This is the sort of thing we expect from a Game 3. This is both teams giving it all. It's getting a little bit messy, a lot of fights, but neither of them are willing to go home right now, give up on their chance to get in the UKLC. They are both fighting with all they have, and there's a lot of back and forth. DegreeSports, although they're not overall ahead in terms of gold, they find the advantage there at the end. They're the latest ones to win a fight, and as a result, rewarded with that Mountain Dragon.
And like honestly, in this situation, you say they're not ahead in gold. To me, gold almost doesn't even matter. It's not about your in-game advantage, it's about your mental advantage. Remember that whoever is losing this game goes out of the tournament. So when you make a good play, you get that momentum going, suddenly you're just feeling like you're on cloud 9. The enemy team likewise are going to be feeling terrible. They'll start doubting themselves because you cannot afford to make mistakes.
Yes, but also no, because gold is still important.
True.
That is still a factor. And at the end of the day, this has been such a back and forth. I don't think you can just say that DegreeSports have the mental advantage. But I like the speech. If you ever coach a basketball team of college students or high school students, that would be great. That would really well.
I've got to use my sports psychology degree somehow, man. Like I'm really stretching. But
gotta get your money's worth.
Yeah, Longstaff not stretching too much. He's just throwing down the ult instead. It was a bit of a stretch on that hook though, as it does not connect.
Yeah. It was a very slow hook to come out. It seemed like he was computing.
I think he had to get it around the wall a little bit.
It seems like he was computing who he's going to target. It's like beep, boop, boop, Lee Sin, and then he throws it. It's like he's already moved.
I think he just didn't want to pull a Mickey X. from Worlds where you saw where he flashes over the wall and just immediately hooks the corner of the wall he stood next to. I think he wanted to just make sure he had a full wide berth of that blue wall. And now I have to see what's going on down here in the bot lane. Watley, once again, caught under his tower in a multi-man situation. And again, going to full. Lee Brothers might be able to find someone on the back, but he sees Jakamaka and 1v4 is not his specialty.
Yeah, so that happened. Watley, not much counterplay there.
Astute observation.
Maybe if he'd opted to go for a bit more armor, Ninja Tabi
maybe something like an aftershock.
Yeah.
No, I rate the Conqueror.
Could have survived in that situation, but the end gets blown up pretty quickly. This Volibear starting to lose some traction, and in the meantime, Governor, he's just farming up top, and he's getting pretty tanky at this point.
Yep, he's having a good time, and he has got a lot of armor, so he's not too worried about Handsome, who has picked up Ninja Tabi for himself, so no Moby shenanigans. It's a bit too late in the game to grab those anyway, and you're just trying to do what you can to make sure that you are not absolutely melted by Vrau and Scood in this game.
A lot of base potential between that mid-jungle, and that is the big threat towards the Volibear. And also, if the Kiana gets blown up before she can be effective, that is a threat too. So, taking stock, 3k gold up for Barrage Retirement Home. Doesn't quite feel like it because of the back and forth, but you can definitely see differences. And I think the big thing is the fact that Governor is 2k gold up in this matchup. So yeah, there's a massive gold disadvantage, a gold difference there, but that's why you're not really seeing it, because Governor isn't in all these fights. We're seeing a similar advantage. Basically, both solo laners are almost 2,000 up for Barrage Retirement Home. It's the bot lane where the discrepancy is, and Blue Spirits on this Kai'Sa is someone who can pop up later on, but dealing with a Cho'Gath who's going to be super tanky, even against a tank shot like Kai'Sa, dealing with a Yasuo who has a win ball, and also is a massive threat to any AD carry, it's going to be difficult.
We'll have to see, are they able to play around those strong solo lanes? We have to see, just go down, just keep on abusing Jakamaka. Yes, he has his flash up now, but gank him and he won't. Just keep picking up the kills, keep farming them off, try to minimize that gap as much as possible as we now wait for the next dragon to spawn. We already see both teams trying to look for some vision control in the area, because right now there's a sort of neutral dragon difference, so to make sure that you pick up that third and final Mountain Drake is important to swing the tides in your favor. Scood, you don't have vision there, but you do have members of the enemy team, as now actually Vrau coming on in with the last breath. It was all a bait from Scood as they find 2 kills. Watley now running for his life. Teleport has come through from Governor, and Handsome is nowhere to be found. Watley forced to flash out of this one, but Scood's going to maybe keep going. Instead decides against it, probably a smart decision as the healing was coming through from Watley, but luckily for DegreeSports, the dragon does not spawn for another minute, so they are given a second chance.
I'm just questioning decision making there, because Libra and Longstaff don't have the damage to one-shot a Lee Sin.
True.
It's pretty obvious that there'd be follow-up when you know Vrau's nearby. You have to expect Barcelona to be in the area as well. Just, that was a questionable play at best, and now Barrage Retirement Home going to get control of the area. That Dragon's going to be sworn in 30 seconds. If they secure that one, it's going to make their Baron such a massive threat.
Yeah, and now, of course, Barrage have not only the 5k gold advantage, but also the mental advantage, as they come off the back of that fight feeling pretty good.
Please stop.
I need to use it somehow. But we see they do have the control over the dragon, so the vision advantage as well. And they'll look to try and find that mountain. And as you've said already, insanely fast mountain speeds from a Yasuo, Cho'Gath, and a Heimerdinger team. Look at the attack speed. Ooh. He's zooming. Important point to note as well, when you go for the Halo Blades Yasuo, Halo Blades kind of dips a little in the middle, but once you have your 100% crit, it's huge, because you're just going to crit someone, 5 times in under a second. It's pretty decent.
No real contest for this Mountain Dragon.
Not at all.
Governor going to be able to chomp down it for some extra stacks. Solid pickup for Barrage Retirement Home. And now, minute on the Baron. I want to see them slowly move the pressure towards the top side. They are going to look to shove in bot, so they contest that. But Baron should be the next objective they want to look to control. It would be so fast, and it's such a threat for DegreeSports. If they were to give that one up, the game would almost certainly be done.
Well, they look like they might want to try and force a dive onto Watley, and they're just going to take the tower pretty clean up. Watley likes these sort of situations where he's 1v2. He's okay with being dove, but Volibear's not the champion for it, especially when you've rushed Titanic. There's literally nothing that you can do to even remotely try to dissuade this. Well, for the most part, vision just being set up Admittedly, not really on the half of the map that you want if you're retirement home, but important to get that little ward down there by Barcelona, so they will know when people start moving towards the jungle, trying to stop this potential Baron. But of course, 2 mountains, we've said it so much, it will be a very fast clear. And oh, look, we have a little Baron. Oh, no, we don't. We have a fight instead. As we see Lee Brothers go on in to try and force the fight, but the Rakan is there to disengage. Watley in the middle, he's trying to heal it up, but he does have the Grievous Wounds, and there is Blue Sparks. There is the Kiana ultimate as well, but actually no, Blue Spirits maybe caught a little bit out, forced to flash away from the Governor who's doing him in. Likewise, Scood is on the backline and taking out a Longstaff. So it's a bit of a trade of tanks right now, but Vrao is alive. Handsome is maybe trying to find out the support, but I don't think I agree with this decision a bit too much. And he will fall in the 1v3. Blue Spirit still alive. Watley the same, but no smite for DegreeSports. All right, well, Blue Spirit.
A lot of damage to Blue
Spirits. Putting a lot out, and Bartiono taking a lot from the Baron there, and now Watley teleporting into the middle of 3 people. It kind of his comfort zone, but also kind of not where he wants to be, as he does immediately fall.
Why and what? But now they're going to start with the Baron, and a lot of members down. It should be a pretty easy take. Lieber's coming over, but he can't walk through the Yasuo.
Yeah, just cannot get through that, and he actually does not connect his EQ, and so he may just fall as well, but the knockup lands onto Varao, and he gets the kill onto Blue Spirits, flashes on over, gets himself another one. Now Bartiona comes on down to try and make it a triple kill, and it will be found by Jaka Maka, the Baron, the kills, everything that retirement home need.
And Varao is looking so good on this Yasuo. This is a player we expected to see yesterday. Not someone who would pick Kale and just AFK for a long time. Someone who has the mechanics to back up it, you know, the picks that he's taking these show and just styling on the other team. Barrage retirement home with this Baron going to look to take the mid inhibitor. And DegreeSports, this might be the end of the line for them. For now, they will be able to hold on to their base in the game.
10,000 gold down. It is not looking good. We'll have to see what everyone picks up off of their resets here as well, but we will dive on into a replay. And this is just Vrao with the clean field. I don't even know how he had vision of
It's Lee Brothers messing
Oh, it was
up.
the wall gave him vision. The wind wall. That's clean. Gave him vision over the wall onto the Kai'Sa, gets the ultimate off, flashes back over. Like you said, Lee Brothers messing up pretty aggressively by not connecting that EQ, not being able to get out alive, and of course, promptly falling. I wonder how intentional that was. The wind wall vision. We may never know. But Governor
can actually be caught out here.
Yeah, he is in quite a few people here, and will actually fall pretty promptly. And now Longstaff is trying to find Scoot. The Kiana does still have the ult, and this is a good place for it. We see it grab on around the wall, and Jakamaka is found. Blue Spirit's dashing on in, as he is one to do, and find some kills. He's looking for Barciono, he's looking for Scoot, he's looking for whatever he can find. But Vrao, meanwhile, is just taking everybody down. Blue Spirit's not quite doing enough damage. Vrao definitely is, and secures a triple kill. And Bartiono lives to boot as well. That is a clean ace, and they may look to try and end the game.
And that is what I call a 12k gold difference. It looked like a favorable fight for DegreeSports, but the gold difference is there. They've got 1 minion holding on, likely going to be enough when they have that super come in. They start crushing through the Nexus towers. Nexus is going to go down, and that is Barrage retirement home, staying in the promotion tournament and knocking DegreeSports out.
Yeah, unfortunately, DegreeSports taken down, but Barrage retirement home are given a second chance. They will advance tomorrow. They will be given a chance to keep their spots here, or sorry, to gain a spot here in the UKLC.
Yeah, they'll go up against Envision, and then the winner of that will play against Barrage to see if they can get through into the UKLC. But Barrage retirement home, definitely not a convincing series. I mean, both series today went the full distance, but Barrage retirement home in that game too in particular, I feel like it wasn't just that. It was DegreeSports stepping up considerably, but I feel like in the end, they just kind of lost the wind in their sails.
Yeah.
Game 3, there was some mis-execution, and it showed that they did have a pretty solid level. It's just they did not have the consistency to go toe-to-toe. And, I mean, the highlight for me was, you know, finally Vrao and Scoo just coming together and having some just flawless play. And those are the stars of the roster. I got to credit everyone else, because Governor, after struggling against Watley Game 3, looked great. Jakamaka, not the most convinced by him in this series, but Vrao and Scoo just looked so good. The mid-jungle was the catalyst for the rest of the team, so great to see. And obviously, they will have another chance to get their way into the UKLC tomorrow. but a pretty solid performance from them, but still doubts. But I think we can say that for every team we've seen today.
Sure. They've got a long road ahead of them. Like you said, they have to go through the lower bracket and then the winner's bracket, of course, if they want to get that spot in the UKLC. And unfortunately, the road cut short for DegreeSports a little bit. Quite a historical team, maybe not under the same name, but the same people here in the UK scene, the university scene. This was a bit of a last hurrah for a couple of the players. I know Lee Brothers and Watley, this is sort of they're done now. You know, they wanted to do a university league, and then maybe if they won it, it's like, well, what can we do from here? But they know now they've lost. That's sort of it with them in their league careers. Not the best way to go out, but they did at least have a very strong showing.
And they proved, because a lot of people had doubts that they could even make it to this stage.
Yeah.
There were 4 teams that came through that were going to compete to go into this stage of the tournament, and people thought that DegreeSports wouldn't even be one of them, but they proved that they were a pretty solid performance. They managed to beat out Bulldog and Belong Steelers to get to this point. They managed to take Barrage Retirement home to a game 3, so considerable effort from them, but it will be a goodbye towards DegreeSports. But 3 teams still left, still so much on the line, and tomorrow is the day that decides it all. For 2 of the teams, it's potentially back-to-back series to decide your fate. Obviously, Barrage is sitting pretty. They have a weighted advantage in the best of 5, so hopefully we can bring up the bracket soon and show you that. Weighted advantage in the best of 5, which means they have a huge benefit from being in the upper bracket, and that's
not the bracket.
That's us.
That's us.
Again and again and again and again.
It's my dream.
And again. But as you may have briefly saw for a split second, weighted best of 5 is waiting at the end, so massively in favor of Barrage having that, and obviously they're feeling great because they've convincingly kept their spot at the top.
But
the thing to take note of is, you know, you are going into tomorrow, and Vision and Barrage Retirement Home have a chance to warm up in their game, they have a chance to gain momentum, and that could be enough to topple Barrage. Still all to play for tomorrow, and it's going to be the hypey day.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes. We do have the chance, of course, of the Barrage matchup, which would be interesting to watch. If anyone doesn't know the sort of story behind Retirement Home, they basically all used to play for Barrage. Yeah, they're all players that have a sort of history with the org, and now they have this chance to come up and face against their sort of former owners, and it'll be interesting to see sort of how that one pans out, if that is the matchup.
And for anyone talking about conflicts necessarily of interest, Barrage Retirement Home are their own entities. They may be using that name, which Barrage have said, you know, they're not bothered about them using, but if they win, it's the players who control the spot. They choose what they want to do. They can field the full roster in the UKLC. If they want to make changes, they can. But it's not like Barrage. If it's a Barrage final, they are not guaranteed to get into the UKLC. It's not 100%. Obviously, if their main roster goes in, then they're in a pretty solid position. So obviously, that is what they'll be looking for. But Envision, definitely the team that can still put the spanner in the works. They didn't have the most convincing performance today, but definitely still some shines of light from the roster as a whole.
Yeah, it wasn't that groovy, but we did see, of course, they had that sort of reverse sweep there at the end. So they figured out what they needed. Honestly, do you ever have those words that you say ironically and then they just slip into your vocabulary?
I feel like your entire existence has been
yes, but like groovy is very much one of them. But they had their start wasn't that great in the start, but then they did end up pulling out in the end, and I think they would have been it was just a pretty impressive showing the longer and longer they went on, so I am interested to see how they'll pull up coming into the next games.
Yeah, and if you've missed any of the games from the previous days, if you've missed any from Forge of Champions, you want to go check over them, have a look, be sure to check us out on YouTube. You can go and look us up. It's LVP UK LOL is our YouTube, and you can also look at our Twitter, which is hashtag Forge of Champions. You want to get in touch with us, maybe send us a message, give us your thoughts on the teams.
Compliments on my outfit earlier.
LVP UK LOL, if you want to give us a follow to keep updated with all your favorite teams in the UKLC. So pretty exciting day, but more games tomorrow is the big thing to highlight. We'll be having, it will be all or nothing for both games. I feel like the stakes have slowly ramped up because day 1, no one went out. Day 2, one team went out. Day 3, 2 teams will go down, 1 will rise. It'll almost be like we are forging champions.
And on that bombshell, we'll see you all tomorrow.